Welcome to But Enough About Me, a podcast about other people. My name is Tyler Andrews. I'm a Nashville-based photographer, husband, and father. I'm trying to collect the stories of everyone around me, whether we're best friends or total strangers. I want to know what made you the person you are today. Welcome to the podcast. I am so excited to have you with me today. A couple of big announcements right off the top. It's been a big couple of weeks. We officially have over 1,000 downloads. Actually, at this point, it's probably closer to 1,100. I'm so excited and honored that so many of you are finding something worthwhile in what it is I'm spending all of my nights and weekends doing. In addition to that milestone, we also have over 300 followers on Facebook and a little over 100 folks following us on Instagram. I try to update those pretty regularly, so you don't have to wait every 2 weeks to hear from us. There are also stickers and business cards. I'll tell you more about those after the fact. But for right now, let's get to the fun part. Today's story comes from a good friend of ours, a good friend of my family's. She is a force of nature. And I know sometimes people use that in a negative way. I obviously do not mean that. She has a profound and undeniable impact on the environment around her. Wherever she goes, the space is different just because of her presence. She is the wife of my very good friend and mentor. She is direct, she is unflappable, and she's absolutely hilarious. I'd like to note on the front end, please exercise caution when listening to this episode. It is very funny, and if you are operating heavy machinery like an airplane or a car or a forklift, be very careful because this is a very funny episode. Some of these stories you'll hear, I don't think I've laughed this hard in a long time. You can follow her journey and the things she writes on theshiftjustgotreal.com. That is her brand new blog. Again, I'll be very careful how I say this. The Shift, S-H-I-F-T, justgotreal.com. You can also follow their family as they are missionaries on Facebook, facebook.com/The Reynolds Tribe Experience. That is X-P-E-R-I-E-N-C-E. The Reynolds Tribe Experience on Facebook. Folks, I'm so excited. You're going to have a blast. My good friend, Bree Reynolds. Hi. Thank you for doing this.
You're very welcome.
Am I? I don't know with you.
I don't know yet. We'll find out later.
All right. But for real, though, I appreciate it.
For real, though, you're welcome. Kind of.
I've already made you cry once, and I feel bad.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, you did. The night is still young.
It's true.
We still have time.
Bree, let's see here. I just want you to tell me about yourself. Tell me your story. Where are you born?
Here, Nashville.
Yeah?
I'm like one of 5.
I was going to say, you're a genuine native.
I am. I'm a unicorn.
Well, I knew that.
In Nashville, which is weird. I was born at Baptist Hospital, which is now, Midtown?
Yes.
St. Thomas
Midtown,
which is not the right name. Baptist.
It was Baptist.
Is what it will always be. And that is where I was born. Both 2 of my kids were born there as well.
When were you born?
77. In the 1900s, as my kid would say.
Oh, that's kind of mean.
Well, I'm old.
No, that's not what that means. I just meant...
Well, I mean, to a 12-year-old, and his mom was born in the 1900s, so I'm old.
I'd never really thought about it that way before, but now...
You're old, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're vintage.
Giving me perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your folks.
My dad is a good old boy, and he is just a country guy who had a farm. Not really a farm, but he just lived out in the country, and we had horses, so that was a farm to me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one that taught me how to ride horses and not be afraid of anything and kind of take life by the horns and can't, never, could.
Can't, never,
could.
Had to work through that one.
Yeah. And if you fall, don't cry because there's no use in it and just get back up and keep going. So he was born in Alabama, had a brother, football, jock, good looking, ladies' man.
Yeah.
Met my mom, and he went to Vietnam.
When did they meet?
They met, I think, in college at MTSU. I could be wrong, but I know MTSU was central to their story.
I just meant timing wise. So about college age.
Yeah. So my sister was born in 70.
Okay.
So they got together maybe
in the late 60s.
Yeah, a year or two before that. And then I was born in 77, and then they divorced in 80.
Okay.
So I was 3. So I don't really remember.
And there's just the two of you kids?
From my mom and my dad. Now, my mom married my dad married my stepmom. And now but like my little sister's 38.
You didn't have to out her.
Well, I mean, sorry, Bear. I'm 42, so she's 38. So she's 4 years younger than me. So my older sister is 7 years older than me.
Okay.
My younger sister is 4 years younger. And then my little brother is 14 years younger than me. So there's 21 years difference between my oldest sister and my youngest brother.
Man.
But there's two different mamas.
Right.
But my stepmom was our bonus mom before that was a thing.
So your folks were from here, I guess, their whole lives as well?
I'm filling out my some paperwork for a passport that I'm going to get for a trip later on this year. So I had to know where my mom was born, and I was very surprised to find out that she was born in Nashville as well, because she moved around. Somehow she ended up in Texas, she ended up in Florida, but I know from high school on she was here.
Okay. So what did your dad do for a living?
He was an electrician.
And did your mom earn an income, or was she mom full time?
Well, she was a single mom from.
That's true. As long as you
So
remember.
yeah, so she had all sorts of jobs, and she did what she could. She did what she needed to do, but she always seemed to land in admin work, so like receptionist or just that kind of like secretarial sort of stuff. And then she finally ended up working for Singer Sewing Company, so that's where she retired. She was there for a while.
So when your folks divorced in 80, who moved?
I was 3. So I don't know. We moved. We did. Me and my mom and my sister moved. So my sister was 10. I was 3. We moved to Cookeville because my mom's sister was there. We, after that, moved around. I couldn't even count.
Yeah.
I really can't. I can't even imagine. I can't count on 2 hands how many times we moved.
Like every time a lease would end, you'd go to a different place?
If we would get to the end of a lease.
Was it in the same town? I mean, did you stay in Cookeville, or were you moving all around town, or what was going on?
Cookeville, I have very faint memories of Cookeville. By the time I was in school, kindergarten, we were in the Nashville area. So we had moved back. And again, I can't even begin to imagine. I can't even begin to tell you how many times we moved. But I always stayed in the metro school system.
Okay.
But a lot of that had to do with the fact that I was in the the special ed program.
You were in the special ed program?
I was in the special ed program. And so because of being in the special ed program, I got to stay in the metro schools no matter where we lived.
Just because it's a better program, or because other school systems don't have one?
At the time, a lot of school systems didn't have one, and I don't know because, again, being 5, 6, 7, if they were just maybe starting.
Yeah.
Or it was at least newer. And since Nashville was metro, it was the city.
Yeah.
They just got the program first.
Well, and in the early 80s, I mean, Nashville was the city, and then everything outside of Nashville was not city.
No, and we lived in Nashville proper pretty much my entire life until high school. But of course, in the metro school systems, you have 8 million different schools you can go to and zone for. So I was always zoned for the rich ones because that was where the money was, because that was, and the programs were there probably because of the money.
Okay. So we should probably take a moment and say, why were you in the special ed program?
Okay. Yeah. This is the inspirational piece to who I am.
Stop.
It's bad. Okay, so I was in 77, okay, in the 1900s. I was born with spina bifida.
Okay.
Spina bifida, in short, is a hole in the spine. Nerves didn't connect, so my feet are paralyzed.
Okay.
Just where that happened, that hole happened to be on my spine is where the nerves to my feet were supposed to connect, but there was nothing to connect to, so paralyzed. Therefore, I walk with crutches.
Okay.
Therefore, I was considered special ed. My brain is fine.
Yes.
And it takes about 30 seconds to figure out that just because my feet don't work, that doesn't mean that my brain doesn't. But
right.
So if you're going to put it on levels, like I have crutches.
Yeah. But you can walk around.
I can walk around. I can
drive
even
a car.
walk without my crutches at home. I look like a penguin. I look like a dog. Balance is terrible. Don't get me to try to bring you a glass of water. It's not going to make it. Drive, yes. With no hand controls or anything. So when I was 16 and I was trying to get my driver's license, the state kept shutting me down saying, no, you have to have hand controls. But no one would ever test me. And I'm a little bit defiant.
Yes.
So I pushed back, and they'd push back, and I would push back. And so finally, I didn't get my license until I was 19. Almost 19. And it was because I just waited until I got to college, and I went to UT, and I went and got tested up there. And they just gave me my license like they would give it to anybody else going into a DMV. So basically, the ladies, this one lady in particular at the DMV, which of course, is the happiest place on earth, she would literally sigh and roll her eyes when she saw me walk in, because it was almost like, not today, Satan.
Wow.
And so we wouldn't get anywhere. And so I just waited until I got to college, and I had friends teach me how to drive.
Tell me about elementary school. Tell me about being a kid in the special ed program, when I would imagine most of the people in the special ed program were not as mentally capable as you were.
But no, they were.
Were they?
Though. Yeah.
So it really was just a
hodgepodge. It was, we don't really know what to do right now, so throw them all together. And as an adult, looking back, they really just had no idea what they were doing. They really just didn't.
Yeah.
And in our elementary school now, they figured it out really fast, that we were smart, capable, like intellectually advanced. A lot of us were. We were smart kids.
Yeah.
And so they put us in mainstream classes. So elementary, there's not much to report there, because we were treated like kids at that age. They don't treat you different.
No.
They just ask you why you have crutches, or they ask you why you're in a wheelchair, and you just go on with your life because, you're just another kid that's my age and we like the same things. Let's go play.
Yeah.
That was my elementary experiment, which kind of was a faux pas. But however, 7th and 8th grade was the experiment.
Oh.
I think because we were an experiment. And that's where things got weird.
So, okay, so help me place this. Your dad got remarried when you were
4.
Oh, okay, so right away.
Right away, yeah. So he stayed in the same house, right? And again, I'm, being 3, I
you
don't remember a lot of stuff. And I don't remember him getting married. I do remember sitting at the dinner table and seeing this very beautiful, beautiful woman sitting across the dinner table. And she had long, dark hair and dark eyes. And I just remember looking at her and thinking, I like her.
Yeah.
And that was it. That's the only memory. That was like, it's a snippet.
Yeah.
The next memory I have was walking into my dad's room, and this itty bitty, tiny, tiny little baby was in the middle of the bed.
Wow.
And that was my little sister.
So you said she's 4 years younger than you?
I was 4.
So that
my
happened
birthday's
real
April.
fast.
Her birthday's May.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that happened real fast.
Yeah.
How often did you see your dad?
Oh, every weekend or every couple of weekends.
Okay.
My mom and my dad
Yeah.
remained friends. My mom and my stepmom, really good friends. They ended up being really good friends. I had to explain my family and we still have to explain our family, to people who thought, well, I thought they were all supposed to hate each other. They ended up all loving each other.
That's bizarre.
It is bizarre, especially like now.
Yeah.
But they just made a choice.
Yeah.
My mom is loving and kind and caring and compassionate and does not know a stranger. And my stepmom made a choice that these kids are my kids too.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I mean, and then my stepmom, she died when my oldest was 4 months old. So she's been gone for 19 years.
Oh, goodness.
But so when my stepmom died, my mom kind of became surrogate to the younger two who were my stepmoms.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
It's just, that's who we are.
Yeah, because divorce is the beginning of so many people's bad stories. You know, that's where things fall apart. And it doesn't sound like, I mean, not that it was sunshine and roses, but that's not the struggle for you.
No, and it never was, because I don't remember it.
Yeah. Okay. So you said 7th and 8th grade, you were the experiment.
Oh, good Lord. Yes. Okay. So elementary school, H.G. Hill. So kindergarten to 4th grade, life was awesome because you're a kid and you're being a kid.
Right.
5th and 6th grade, and I say we because there was like this set of like 5 of us that kind of moved up and progressed together throughout the school system and the schools. So 5th and 6th grade, they were like, hey, you guys are all smart. Go to the Excel classes. So we all were in the Excel and the Encore classes and the Smart Kid classes, right?
Yep.
So we were in the advanced everything because we could keep up, and we were. 7th grade, their feet don't work. Therefore, their brains obviously don't work. Let's put them in their own PE class where they drop clothespins and buckets and throw bean bags through clowns' noses. And then on the days that we weren't in PE, we were in this classroom where we would play Jenga and do puzzles.
Like, that's all you did?
That is all we did. And we got 95s, like the score of 95, like an A, right? And so I asked my PE teacher, and I was 12, and I wasn't being like this smart ass little kid, but I was like, why are we making 95s in this class when we're not doing anything?
Well, and also, what do I have to do to get 100?
Well, she said, this was what she told me. And so that's why I was saying it, nothing, elementary and upper elementary didn't do anything that really marked my life and that stayed with me. She told me it's because you're doing your best, but you could do better.
Wow.
And I thought, if I'm doing my best, no, I can't do better, because by definition, if you're doing your best, there is no better.
That's right.
And then I can throw the crap out of beanbags through clowns' noses. So give me like 150, because like I deserve better than a 95 on that. And like I can work that puzzle all day long.
But that was it. They weren't teaching you.
Oh, heck no. Okay, but so you have me, and I'm got crutches, right?
Right.
My best friend in the whole entire world, Maria, we met in the 5th grade. She's got muscular dystrophy. She's in an electric wheelchair.
Okay.
Which literally means she can't do anything except for drive this electric wheelchair around.
Right.
So they would try to set up like kickball things, and she would literally just push her, like with her hand.
The joystick.
Yeah. Around the gym floor. Like oh, no. Oh, it gets better. In the 8th grade. Okay, so again, I've got crutches. Maria's in an electric wheelchair. Several kids that are in wheelchairs. I think 3 of us had spina bifida, but varying degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So I can move. I'm mobile.
Mm-hmm.
There was another guy who could move a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Another girl who can move a little bit, but kind of like stick them on the ground and they're going to army crawl because they're not supposed to be out of their chair.
Sure.
One guy paralyzed from the waist down because he was in a car crash when he was 2. Couldn't move at all.
Wow.
Couldn't sit up very well because he was paralyzed.
Right.
And then another kid who he had cerebral palsy, so he was nonverbal and had that pointer stick thing. He was, pointer stick. Like, have you seen Speechless? The show Speechless?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh, you have to watch. That's a plug for the Speechless show. But if anyone has seen Speechless, that's been my life. You're gonna love it.
Okay.
So this one kid, nonverbal, sharp as a tack, and just, I mean, if he could talk, he had a mouth on him.
And you're talking the helmet with the pointer. He would point at pictures and words and stuff. That's how you communicate.
Yes, and eventually he ended up getting like a talking computer.
Nice.
And so he would make his dumb 12-year-old crass jokes and 15-year-old jokes, and it would come out at like that's
Stephen
what
Hawking
she said.
style?
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like it was ridiculous. So anyway, picture this, if you will.
Yeah.
They decide that they're going to get a ginormous trampoline and stick us all on it.
No way.
No, stop, because I'm gonna snort. This is the single most terrible, terrific experience I've ever had, ever. Okay, so I really truly am the only one. Well, me and this other guy were the only 2 really that were able to control our bodies. They got people out of their wheelchairs and they were laying like on their back because they couldn't sit up. This is terrible. Okay, stop.
So awful. Who thought this was a good idea?
I don't know. This is what I'm saying. I wish that they would have filmed this because I don't know if this is borderline abuse. It was a circus. Like, they could have charged admission. So they have us all sitting around, laying, propped up, whatever.
Yes.
And then they got in the middle and started jumping.
No.
So it was like a game of popcorn with kids who couldn't control their bodies.
Oh my gosh.
It was terrible.
Awful.
It was horrifying and hilarious. It was awful.
And there's a nonverbal kid who can't say, "Hey, this isn't fun. Please stop."
No, we were. I mean, it was one of those things, I guess, that either if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry.
It sounds like something out of. I don't even know.
You can't make it up. You cannot make this stuff. I don't know.
Like Adam Sandler in his prime wouldn't have made that scene.
You can't touch that. But it was real, and I know that it was real because I was on the trampoline.
Oh my god!
Along with, I mean, they're playing a popcorn with paralyzed kids.
Bree, I can't interview you if you make me laugh this hard.
But that only lasted for 30 seconds.
Oh, they figured out it was a bad idea?
Probably because the paralyzed kids are inching closer and closer to the edge. I mean,
did anybody get hurt? I should find out that first.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I would have remembered. I just remember going, what is happening? And I do remember looking over at my friend who was the nonverbal one, and he just had this grimace on his face. And I don't know if it was like, God help us.
Right.
Or this is funny. Or I'm going to hit the floor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that it had to have taken. I know, just logically, I know that it would have had to have taken at least half the class to get them out and on and back in all their respective chairs and equipment. So I don't know who thought that was great.
That's
And I don't
amazing.
remember where it fit into the school year.
Yeah.
I do know that we threw a whole lot of bean bags and clothespins
After that. Yeah.
But we still got our 95s.
I mean, realistically, in today's environment, people would have lost their jobs.
Everybody that came in contact with us
Yes.
would have lost their jobs. Again, that's why I kind of I'm just going to go ahead and dub them the experiment years. They had no clue what they were doing. No clue what they were doing. So, okay. So then, since we were in all the advanced classes leading up until that point,
Right.
they took us out of all the classes that we should have been in, which this is where I'm like, this is even worse than the whole PE thing. Because we were learning like pre-algebra-ish sort of stuff in the 6th grade, getting us ready to take the pre-algebra stuff in the 7th grade.
Right.
Well, they took, and me and Maria, again, one of my best friends, they took, and we were in mini schools. We were in red.
Okay.
7th grade red.
Yes.
In a pre-algebra class. They took us out the first week of school and took us in a separate mini school in the lowest math class. Without reason. Like, without any... They didn't tell us why.
Were your parents aware of these changes?
My mom... So, yes, my aunt and uncle at the time were... they're early childhood development experts. Like, they write the textbooks that are taught out of.
Okay.
So when they got word,
Yeah.
They were on top of all the IEP meetings, all the different meetings that had to take place so they advocated not only for me, but for us. And so again, like, I don't know where things fit in the 7th and 8th grade year, but things changed.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, when they got involved and they were like, what the heck are you doing to these kids? Because I lost years of math. I lost 2 years of math. And then I had a massive surgery in the 8th grade, which I ended up, was a hip, not replacement, but my hip was out of socket. They had to stick a thing and a rod in it to.
In what grade? 8th grade?
8th grade. So I lost a semester, which I was homebound.
Yeah.
And so I had a homebound teacher, which was awesome because she could actually explain stuff to me.
Yeah.
But I never caught back up.
Okay.
As far as math was concerned. So math always has scared me. Not in the math is hard kind of way, but as in like I literally lost like 2 years. I had no way to jump back in.
Yeah.
So when I got to Hillsborough, I was lost.
So a hip rod to put your hip back in socket. How was that painful? I assume?
Yes, because it was major surgery. The worst part of it was being in a full body cast.
Whoa. Full body cast.
Yeah, like chest down. And the reason that was there was because you had to have your hip completely immobile.
Yeah, immobile.
I mean, it had to stay like that for, I think, 3 months I was in a body cast.
So were you catheterized?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, it's just gross. Like, just anything about being in a full body cast is gross. You can't take a bath.
Right.
You can't go to the potty.
Right.
You have to have help doing everything. It's humiliating because
like I'm grade
13. You
yeah.
know, and then all that stuff starting to happen.
Oh my.
But fortunately I had like women and so my nurses were awesome and I love that. But the funny thing was this stuff happens to me. You know, it's already a miracle that I'm alive because when I was born, of course they didn't know I had spina bifida, but within 10 minutes of me being born, my mom said my room was swarming with specialists that were the best in the country that were studying spina bifida. So I had all the best in the country wanting me because they were wanting me to study.
So why were they, so they didn't know you had spina bifida prior to that?
No, because they
just happened to be in the area?
Well, no. I mean, like, again, it's Nashville, so you have Vanderbilt and you have
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Baptist,
yeah.
and so you have like you had
Wow.
so and they didn't know because it's not like they did ultra. I mean,
Right.
we didn't get the ultrasound pictures and stuff that we have today.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it took 10 minutes, and specialists were just swarming. And my mom said that one doctor came in and said she's not going to do this, she's not going to do that, she's not going to be normal, she's not going to be able to think normally, she's not going to get married, she's not going to live a normal life. All this stuff she wanted for your kid, it's not going to happen. Next doctor that walks in and said, no, we're going to do everything that we can do, and she's going to get to decide what kind of life she lives.
Yeah.
So my very first surgery was to sew up the hole, because there was literally a hole in my back.
Wow.
So that's where the nerves did not connect, because there's literally a hole. Okay. So that was the very first surgery that I ever had. And I don't know if I was hours old or days, but they could not give me anesthesia because I was a newborn at that.
Oh my gosh.
So they knocked me out with whiskey. Which might already explain a lot to you about how I ended up being how I am. So what they did, and what they did do back then, and I don't think it's common practice anymore, but they put, I'm pretty sure it was whiskey. It was whiskey or vodka or some sort of hard liquor.
Yeah.
In a hollow tip pacifier with some sugar. And they knocked me out.
Wow.
Sewed that up.
That's kind of crazy. So you had 10 plus surgeries, most of them before you were 3?
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't remember. The last one was the last one was when I was 12, 13 in the 8th grade and had that full body cast and homebound.
Mm-hmm.
I was healing fine.
Yeah.
Going stir crazy. And so my mom's work was having a bonfire, like a get together.
Yeah.
And so, she took me. And I was in a wheelchair because, I was literally like
immobile.
Yeah, and hard.
Yeah.
Inflammable. At a bonfire. And there are marshmallows that are on fire that my mom accidentally dropped on me.
No.
Yeah.
Did your cast light?
Yes.
Oh.
Which it didn't take long. He snorted. It didn't take long to, put me out. It is a miracle that I survived past the age of 12.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. Okay, back on track.
Yes.
So, 8th grade kind of sucked.
8th grade did kind of suck.
Full body cast, lots of Jenga.
Yeah.
What happened in high school? You got to Hillsboro.
Hillsboro was there for 9th grade year almost completely.
Mm-hmm.
My mom remarried my second stepfather. First stepfather, terribly, terribly abusive, physically awful man.
To you or mom? Or
both. And he ended up leaving. He abandoned us, which is fine. We moved on with our lives. Everything was fine. Terrible, awful man. There are maybe 5 people on this planet that I can count and ask why God allowed them to wear skin, and he's one of them. The second one who I asked why God allowed them to wear skin was the second stepfather. So she met him, I think, at the end of my 8th grade year, which, again, we can chalk that up to 8th grade second. Actually, yeah. And then married him. I wore black to the wedding.
Oh, so you were...
I wore black, and my sister wore black.
From the jump.
Oh, yeah. We wore black to their wedding. So just in case anybody wondered how we felt. So we had to move. Well, we did move to Mount Juliet, which back in the day was hillbillies.
Yeah.
And country folk. And I'm not saying that as a better than now, but I thought I was better than.
Sure.
Because I had grown up in all these rich schools. Now, we were not wealthy at all. We were probably, I would say, below the poverty line. I just never knew that because I was a kid, and
Yeah.
parents don't let you don't let your kids know that.
Yeah. Well, you don't have any perspective.
Well, no, none. And my mom was doing the best she could. We got evicted from this place and that place, and we'd moved to that place and that place, and so that's why we moved so many times. But I didn't know that, and I didn't know that we didn't have enough.
Right.
But all my friends did. My friends lived in these massive houses. I had one friend who had an elevator in her house.
Wow.
And so those were my friends, and those were the people that I would stay with a lot. And so I didn't know. So we moved to Mount Juliet, and that was the last 6 weeks of my freshman year. And I walked in my little Gap dress, and I was in my English class, and I looked outside, and I saw what I had only seen in movies up until this point, and I didn't think it was a real thing. I thought it was like a caricature that they put in movies. But I looked outside, and there were these only guys, and they were dressed in overalls and no shirts, and they were chasing pigs, like diving for them.
No.
Yes. And so I asked this girl, I said, "What are they doing?" And she said, "That's just the FFA and the FHA, and they're chasing greased pigs for field day." And I had to get her to say it again because I didn't understand it. Like, I didn't understand what... And again, I'm not saying this disrespectfully, but this is totally where I was as a 14-year-old who hated pretty much everything that was happening.
Yeah.
And then you took me from the wealthiest, snootiest, well-to-do friends.
Yeah.
And you stuck me in the middle of Podunk town.
Yeah.
And it was a culture shock.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand. I didn't even understand what people were saying because I couldn't understand the accent.
Yeah.
Says the girl from Nashville.
Yeah.
I mean, really. Anyway, they were chasing greased pigs.
During the school day.
Yeah. And it was only the guys, because only the guys were allowed to go out and do it. Which I guess is okay, because I don't know who else would want to chase the greased pigs. But that was my welcome to Mount Juliet.
So, culture shock, you're there. Your older sister is graduated at this point?
Oh, yeah.
She was 7 years older than you, so she was long gone.
Yeah, long gone, has a kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're an aunt. You're in Mount Juliet. So high school. Tell me about high school. Once you're there, you got settled in, I assume.
I did, made friends, still that I have today. So high school was nondescript, except for the fact that the 9th grade at the time in Wilson County was still considered junior high.
Oh.
7th, 8th, and 9th was junior high.
Yeah.
Okay. So I spent half the day at the junior high and half the day at the high school because I was taking classes that they didn't offer at the junior high.
Huh.
So I made friends with with a lot of the high schoolers as a freshman.
Yeah.
Which carried me through the next couple of years because I was already in with the upperclassmen.
Nice.
And then when I was the upperclassman, because all my friends had graduated, I became friends with the class underneath me.
Yeah.
And so it was nondescript in that nothing really happened except for I had pink hair or purple hair. And they had to write me in the handbook about having no
unnatural
weird hair colors. And then they also wrote a one line about special ed students. Which, what the heck, man? Like, I thought that I've already served my time there. So we didn't go back in there. Like, I didn't.
Yeah.
We had to fight for that. Just let me stay in my stinking classes. You don't have to create a class for me to sit in there by myself.
Yeah.
Which is what it would have been. And then, like, I think by the time I was a junior or senior, they actually had a legit MH program. But that wasn't because of me. I mean, it's not like I'm saying I came on the scene and stuff started happening. It was just the only thing that they knew about me is that I had pink hair and crutches. And again, it only takes 30 seconds to talk to me to realize that my brain works.
Yeah.
My mouth is very smart, and my brain is very smart.
So high school is nondescript.
Yeah. I mean, I met my good friends.
Yeah.
That I still have.
What kind of music did you like? This is mid-90s.
grunge, and all my friends were in bands, and so we would go hang out at Lucy's
Yeah?
on Church Street
Yep.
every weekend. Every weekend we were down. Like, well, I don't know what our parents were thinking, letting 16-year-olds go downtown Nashville. But downtown Nashville wasn't like the bachelorette mecca that it is now. So
Yeah.
we just lived downtown
Yeah.
every weekend. Battle of the Bands, all that kind of thing. And we were super cool
Yeah.
and super grungy. And, you know, we were...
Did you get into trouble? Did you drink or smoke
No.
or anything?
No, and I was the mom.
Yeah.
And all of my friends were druggies and addicts and freaks. And I looked like them.
Right.
But I was the one that would be like, hey, this is not a great idea. We need to go now. And then the police would show up after we left.
Nice.
So looking back on it, God has protected me from literally inside the womb on.
Yeah.
Which I know can be said of everyone, but I had a couple of guardian angels that had to work and get paid overtime because, I mean, take spina bifida out of the picture as far as like trying to kill me.
Yeah.
There was just so much stupid stuff that I was around, not involved with,
Right.
but around, that looking back over my life, I just see God's protection.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, there is nothing else other than his protection that got me through and out of a lot of situations that I had no idea. And even till years later.
Yeah.
So I was kind of the mom.
So you graduated in 95?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then what did you do after that? You went to college?
UT, Knoxville.
For what?
Theater.
Oh.
Theater.
How'd your mom feel about that?
Oh, she was fine. She was fine with it. She knew that I was good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was good.
Yeah.
I am good. I still am. I'm still involved. I'm not great. I'm not going to be on Broadway, and that's okay. I did want to be on Broadway,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought, I'm just going to bust up on Broadway and be the first crutchy girl to stand middle stage and belt. But, Broadway was like, nah.
The first crutchy girl?
Yes. The first, I think her name was Allie Stryker. We'll have to look that up. Allie Stryker. She's in a wheelchair.
I did see that.
She just won a
Tony.
Yes, and she is badass because and she's busting up everything.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of a side note, but man, it's about darn time.
Yeah.
And so that was my passion, was theater. Musical theater. And so I went to school for musical theater.
Mm-hmm.
But I was only in school for I was in school for one semester.
Mm-hmm.
And my first semester, friend of the family killed himself. A grandfather died. Grandmother died. And because of bam, 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 I developed ulcers and migraine.
Gee, go figure.
Yeah, I know, because I was so stressed out. And it was first semester, second semester, summer school. So it was like every single semester that I was in school, somebody died.
Yeah.
Something tragic happened. And so I was done. Like I said, I'm going to take a year off. And that was in 96. And here we are in 19. So I haven't gone back yet.
Any minute now.
Any minute. But now I have an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. And they might be in school before I am. But so theater had always been my passion. And it really kind of still is.
So how did you meet Trey?
Trey I met. We met in English class on the very first day.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a skater dude behind me, which is the kind of guys that I always hung out with, that I was like, ooh, he's super cute. I'm going to talk to him. That was not Trey.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that was not Trey. Then there was Trey, who just by looking at him was a jock, because he just had muscles. Like skater boy dude, long hair, skinny, emo.
Yeah.
Trey, muscles, jock, and he talked like this.
Yeah.
And he was the one that needed subtitles. And I couldn't understand anything that he said. And he was from Lebanon. And where? Lebanon. Where? Lebanon. You know, and I'm like,
Can you spell it?
When he was like, I didn't know that it was even near Mount Juliet.
Right.
It was literally the next town. Clearly, I did not know my geography, and nor was I interested in it because I was really self-absorbed. But we became fast friends. Actually, what happened was I was trying to talk to this skater dude behind me, and Trey kept asking me if I had a pencil, and I'm like, "It's English class, dude. You need to have a pencil."
How did you come so unprepared?
Yes, we should have pencils. And so that was the first day. So the next day, or the next class time, and it was canceled. And so I had gone down to the classroom, and he was walking back, and we literally crossed paths. And he asked me if I by chance knew where the U.S. ranked in the world's education system. And I was like, no, I don't. I don't know that. Like, I don't know.
Why would I?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, let me just tell you this information. Anyway, so I was like, I don't know.
It's quite the pickup line.
But it wasn't even really I don't know if it was a pickup line, but we actually do joke about it because now instead of saying, you know, you had me at hello, I say you had me at where does the U.S. rank in the world education system?
Why did he need to know that?
For another class. I honestly, I don't know if it was a pickup line because it was terrible.
Right.
But awesome. Very clever if it was.
It worked.
And number 2, I think he might have just been trying to get the answer and not have to do the work. Do you know what I mean? Well,
yeah.
And I don't mean it in a way of him just being lazy, but it's like, hey, I'm going to ask around and see if anybody knows.
Absolutely.
It's Google.
Yeah.
But real.
Yeah.
With people.
If you get the answer, that's all that matters, right?
And so that's what we did. We just went up to my room, and then from that point on, it was like, hey, you want to go get something to eat? And I got to go to the store. And then I found out that, you know, we live 15 minutes apart.
Yeah.
And I couldn't drive at the time because I hadn't gotten my license yet. And so he just took me home.
That's awesome.
And it was a 2.5, 3 hour ride. So we just really got to know each other.
Yeah.
Because we were in Knoxville.
From Knoxville back to
and then going back
Lebanon
again.
and Juliet.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had 6 hours,
so
5 or 6 hours together.
So how long did it take for you guys to fall in love? How long did it take for you to realize you were in love?
I can tell you the moment that I knew that I was going to marry him. And it wasn't very long at all. And it was weird. Because I was, like, in our kitchen, like the common area, the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And I was making something. And I turned around. And he was sitting at the table. And there were other people in there because it's a common area. I turned around. And I very, very distinctly saw a picture in my head of him at the table with 3 kids. And I had that same look on my face that you just did right there, which was, what the crap? And I turned back around, and I mean, that happened in a second, a split second, that scene popped in my head. So I started to wrap my brain around it. He will tell you that he knew that he was in love with me when he got me my rose. Now, the rose story is I had only liked one other boy.
Right.
And he was a jerk.
Right.
And I'd always wanted to get some flowers or something, like just be nice. And I never got that. And so I was telling Trey, on our first trip home together, not like together, but, you know, he was taking me home.
Yeah.
Just then the getting to know you about guys and girls and relationships and stuff. And I told him, I'd never gotten any flowers or a rose. And so on our trip back, he got me a rose.
Aww.
And so from that point on, he knew, at the very least, he really, really liked me a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
That picture in my mind, now that came a little bit later, because it's not like I'm going to marry this dude. It's not a Disney movie.
But he had designs early on.
Not really. It was just organic. Huh. It was just very organic and simple.
Yeah.
And it wasn't scripted.
Right.
And it wasn't orchestrated. I mean, it was orchestrated by God because he's clever. So we dated for 4 years because we were 18 and 19 when we met. We weren't going to get married that next day. And we broke up because of, we were in a really kind of toxic campus ministry at the time where you're not allowed to be with the opposite sex in a car, or, God forbid you go out and do anything with the opposite sex, and that's just no, you can't do that. And so he broke up with me because I guess it was just
Clearly what God wanted.
clearly what God wanted him to do through the people that were telling him that he was probably not doing things the right way. I don't know, whatever, screw all that. We ended up being okay. So, I mean, we just celebrated 20 years like a month ago. So, it worked out. We just had 20 years. And so the whole missions and ministry thing, we've been in that for most of our for 12 years.
Yeah.
Well, no, Winston's 12. So, yeah, 12 years. That was his first missions trip, was in Africa. And he came back and he's like, we're moving to Africa. And I'm like, hell no, we're not. We are not moving to Africa. We had a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
I'm not moving.
Yeah.
Anywhere to Africa. And so that was kind of, not anywhere, but anywhere. That was tumultuous and hard to navigate because he's so gung-ho and he's so missions oriented.
Yeah.
And he's so go, go, go. And I am not against going at all. At all. I just had very young kids.
Yeah.
And up until recently, I haven't been in a place where I've really wanted to go because I haven't. My kids now, I'm in a place in my life where I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I had always wanted to go to Europe. That was always my dream. He's traveled the world multiple times. And I went to Mexico and Venezuela on an 8th grade and a 10th grade missions trip, with my youth group.
Right.
Which is the stereotypical white youth group going to help, quote unquote, help, and not really do a darn thing.
Right.
And so now we're going to I just booked our trip to Europe yesterday.
That's awesome.
Yesterday. And it's costing us pennies. Because he has so many frequent flyer miles.
Oh.
It's costing, we're doing 3 weeks in Europe for under $1,000.
Oh my gosh.
Because we have friends everywhere. So we're staying with friends everywhere in Europe.
That's amazing.
Everywhere.
That's a pretty cool anniversary gift.
That's massive. So we're going to go in October. And of course there will be missions and there will be ministry. But this time I get to do it with him.
Yeah.
And that's...
As a team.
Yeah. And it took a long time to build this team.
That's cool.
And it took a long time to, I guess, get the same playbook, I guess. I don't know, because I've always done the home thing, which is awesome and needed and valuable. And I didn't know that even. I didn't feel like I was valuable. He was the rock star and I was just the wife. But I realized a couple years ago that I'm pretty darn important too.
Absolutely. So, are there any stories that you're supposed to tell me that I haven't asked you about yet?
Yes, I'm supposed to tell the gas story, which this ties into the missions because Trey was in Brazil.
Okay.
And this was his second trip. So his first one was to Uganda.
Uh-huh.
That was disastrous at home.
Okay.
I figured out the pattern when he was having a good day wherever he was, wherever in the globe he was. If he had a good day,
yeah,
I had a day straight out of hell.
Yeah.
And so I was not fond of missions because I was the one fighting here.
Yeah.
And didn't feel very supported or taken care of because, and he would tell you this too.
Yeah.
We would raise support. We always raise support. But he would raise only enough for him to go, which wouldn't be enough for me to be here with 3 kids.
Because he's not working.
He wasn't earning anything, but it wasn't covered either.
Right.
So not only are we losing income, I wasn't covered. So Brazil was a 2-week trip. The first week into it, I got our bank statement $500 overdrawn.
Oh, no.
And so I'm Skyping him, crying,
Yeah.
saying, I don't know what to do. And so we had, Trinity was 10. That's what it was. Trinity was 10. Zion was like 7. And Winston would have been 2.
Yeah.
Winston would have been 4. Sorry. And we had them enrolled for summer camp. And I didn't have any gas. And we were $500 overdrawn.
Okay.
And so I just got in the car that day and I cried. I was like, God, I said, you have got to give me gas. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I had my keys. I had the car keys in my hand. Do you know this story?
I've heard it, but it's been a while.
So the kids are buckled in their car seats and I'm in the car going, God, I need you to give me gas.
Yeah.
I need you to give me gas. I had the car keys in my hand, so the car was not on because the car keys were in my hand. I watched the needle go from empty to a fourth of a tank. I watched it happen. No one can take this away from me. No one. Just like that dumb trampoline story, it happened. No one can take that away from me. No one can take this away from me. And I've had countless experiences of miracles happening like this.
Yeah.
So that fourth of a tank got us to what we needed to do. I got them to their camp. I got back. I got everything that we needed to do in that fourth of a tank, it happened.
Wow.
The next day, so this is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday situation, right? It went back up to the fourth of a tank. Because I prayed again.
Yeah.
That was Tuesday. Wednesday, the same thing. Thursday, the same thing. Because why wouldn't God always provides, and he never fails, and he's always surprising. And by Friday, I was telling him thank you, but I was crying going, I'm so sorry I didn't have enough faith for a full tank. I should have asked you for a full tank. I'm so sorry. Which was the devil going, you don't have enough faith for anything. You know,
Wow.
you're just faithless, and blah, 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 and he's doing all this, and you can't even ask for a full tank of gas. Very clearly heard God say, what is 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4? And I was like, oh, that was a full tank of gas. And it's also the daily bread thing.
Yeah.
And on Friday, miraculously, we had money in our bank account. I will never try to figure that out. I'm not going to. And that kind of stuff happens all the time. All the time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That doesn't take away from the stress of the moment.
No, it doesn't. And we're actually in another moment like that right now. And we've been in moments like that. I mean, for 20 years, we've lived life together, but in those 20 years, we've been in ministry the entire time.
Yeah.
Of those 20, 12 have been missions.
Yeah.
And of those 12, most of it has been support raised. Like we have to raise support. And in that 12, we were like on church staff, two church staffs, but part-time.
Mm-hmm.
Last year that ended kind of suddenly, and we found ourselves going, okay, well, what do we do? And God just was in the proverbial boat with us. It was his idea.
Mm-hmm.
He took us to it. He took us through it, and he was so ever present and felt. We're kind of like that now, where we have our funding, but the organization that we were with, the 501c3 status, got pulled, and we found out Monday. So we have 5 days now to figure out what to do. So that just means that God's going to do something, because he always does, and we've never gone hungry.
Yeah.
We've never been homeless.
Yeah.
We've never not gone where he's called us to, and we've never not done what he told us to do, Because if he fails now, then he's a liar and his word isn't true. So the stress is there,
Yeah.
but the peace, man. We've lived such a miraculous life and seen so much happen that it would be foolish of us to think that he's not going to come through.
What are you afraid of?
Loss, meaning I'm watching my parents age, and I'm not okay with that. And I've lost friends both through death and through life, just pulling you in different directions that now I'm kind of a little more guarded than I probably should be with relationships and opportunities. I've never been one given into fear. Like, I won't allow it. But if I do, even for a second, I can get overwhelmed. And so I'm afraid of loss, but I'm also afraid of not leaving an imprint on not necessarily the world, but I know that just by existing, I'm contributing to the world at large. But if I want to make a lasting imprint on my people and those in my inner circle and those that see me, because people are always watching. And if I don't represent Jesus well, and if I don't represent him well, then I'm not going to make the right imprint. And that scares me. But maybe not in a fearful sort of way, but in a...
Motivational?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you regret?
Probably... My knee-jerk reaction is going to say nothing. I regret nothing, but that's not true. I think if you are human and you've lived long enough, you regret something. I don't regret my life and everything that's happened to lead me to where I am. There are moments in my life that I regret where I should have said something. I should have been a voice for someone, or I should have been a voice for myself. Like, even take the 7th and 8th grade years.
Yeah.
I should have said, but again, I was 12, so I didn't know that I had the power to say something. So I regret not being a voice for myself and a voice for others when I had the power to do that. And there have been many instances in my life where I could have spoken up, but I did not. And I regret that, because what if that would have been the imprint on somebody else? Do you know what I mean? That's what I regret.
Who is God?
That's my favorite question.
It's a softball.
We got 2 more hours now, right? I know. He is... Oh, gosh. He's breath, and he's life, and he's drink, and he's peace, and he's the boat, and he's the water. And he meets me in, like, the undertow, because he is the undertow. But he's also the peace and the peaceful, like, lazy river. He's all of that. He's encompassing. I can't do anything apart from him. I can't even imagine doing anything apart from his leading and his guidance. There's a verse, the light unto my feet and the lamp unto my path, and I always picture a disco floor that lights up. And
like Thriller?
Yes. Yes. Or Saturday Night Fever. Not Thriller, but Saturday Night Fever. Like, John Travolta.
In the Thriller video, it lights up as he's... Thriller. It's not
Billie
Thriller,
Jean.
it's Billie Jean.
He's that.
Yeah.
He's that. And if I go where the light is, even if it's just dark, and even if it's a 4x4 inch square, I'm okay, because he's there. And so I don't know how to not be in him and have him just envelop every aspect of my life. So God is big and little and intimate and massive and everything and all. And he's just, I don't even know. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah.
And I know that's a hard question, and I know it's a hard answer, but he is life, capital L. I can't do life. I just can't do, he is life. I can't do anything apart from him.
I think that's my favorite answer to that question so far.
Because I was almost in tears.
No, because no.
Well, I mean, because I get emotional because he's
Yeah.
my friend and he's a person. He's not just an abstract thing or power that, well, I hope that works out okay for you, or I'm going to zap you. Or
Right.
He's not that. He's intimate and he's real.
Yeah.
And so I do get emotional because
Well,
I'm talking about my friend. I'm talking about my best friend.
Well, then maybe that is why. Maybe that's why it's my favorite. Thank you.
You're welcome. You are welcome.
I know. You ready for some air conditioning?
Yes, please.
Yes, me too. So seriously, if you wrecked your car or something while listening to that, it's not my fault. I warned you. Bree is very, very funny. Once again, if you want to follow her and keep up with her and her family, you can go to theshiftjustgotreal.com, the SHIFT justgotreal.com, or follow the family on Facebook. That's facebook.com/The Reynolds Tribe X PERIENCE, the Reynolds Tribe Experience. As always, if you would like to see what Bree looks like, much to her chagrin, I did make her portrait, and it is available on the website. That website is, of course, butenoughAbout.me. That's www.butenoughAbout.me. Or you can find us on Instagram or Facebook. In both cases, it's /ButEnoughAboutMe podcast. You can also give us feedback, help us connect with other folks whose stories we should hear, or follow up and meet my good friends Mr. Casey Jones, the gentleman who designed our logo, and Mr. Jace Hackman, the gentleman who provided our bumper music. Both of them can be found on our website or on their individual sites, iamcaseyjones.com or jacehackman.com. As I mentioned earlier, we have business cards and stickers. I have business cards because I'm a serious businessman, but I also have stickers because I'm not really that serious of a businessman. The stickers are 4 inches by 4 inches. They are vinyl, and they are perfectly acceptable for outdoor use. We have them on our cars. I have one on the back of my laptop. Folks, they're great. They're bright yellow. They will grab attention, and they say, "No, really, let me hear your story." If you would like one of the stickers, all you have to do is contact us either through Facebook or Instagram, or email me directly, tyler@butenabout.me. Send me an email or a message and tell me you want a sticker. Give me your address. I will send it to you in the mail, no cost to you, because we're just that kind of show. As always, in the next 2 weeks, you have an assignment. Your assignment is to go find somebody and ask them their story, and then just be quiet and let them talk. It is always time well used. My name is Tyler Andrews, but enough about me.